Imagine you're a 23-year-old professional, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You're getting ready to head to a massive industry convention. Like, this is the biggest networking event of the entire year for your career.
Right. It's a huge thing.
Huge deal. But instead of just, packing your business cards and, like, picking out your outfits, you're actually on the phone coordinating physical security.
Wow.
Yeah. You are hiring real-world bodyguards to literally walk you through a convention center. And the reason why, it's because a 42-year-old corporate talent manager, a guy who works for a massive media conglomerate, he just left this tiny, seemingly innocent little sunflower emoji on your public internet page.
Honestly, it sounds completely absurd when you strip it down to those basic elements,
Right.
like an emoji requiring a bodyguard.
Right.
But that's exactly the paradox of the modern internet. I mean, we're looking at this space where a cluster of pixels on a screen can literally carry the weight of a physical threat, where digital harassment just bleeds instantly into real-world terror.
Yeah, and what makes this specific story so wildly compelling, at least to me, isn't just the personal drama of it all. It's the infrastructure surrounding it.
Welcome to today's deep dive, by the way, to everyone listening. We are so glad you're here because the internet has basically been completely on fire with this one.
Oh, absolutely on fire.
We are looking at what happens when deep, unresolved interpersonal trauma just collides head-on with corporate fiduciary duty. We have basically spent, the last week?
Like, at least a week, yeah. Drowning in it.
Literally drowning in source material regarding the incredibly chaotic, definitive exit of Joshua David Evans from the internet. This was back in the summer of 2026. And, to call it a massive web it's an understatement.
Yeah.
For you guys listening, we are synthesizing hours and hours of primary source video here. Stuff from creators like Gavin Reads It All and Adam McIntyre.
Right.
Plus, we've pulled extensive commentary analysis from voices like Peter Mon and the Do We Know Them podcast.
And Reddit. Don't forget Reddit.
Oh, how could I forget? We spent days in the archival trenches of Reddit communities, specifically our Colleen Ballinger snark and Ardo and Otham podcast, just trying to understand the really deep lore and the coded language of these fandoms.
And crucially, we aren't just looking at YouTube drama channels.
Right. No.
We are bringing in actual business reporting from places like agencies.co. Because you cannot understand this story without understanding the multi-million-dollar corporate mergers that were happening quietly in the background.
Exactly.
So our mission for this deep dive, for you listening, is to connect all these disparate dots. We want to show you how a simple pitch for a documentary film essentially acted as a wrecking ball.
Just swinging through a man's digital empire.
Yeah, destroying his career as a talent manager and exposing this massive, glaring liability blind spot inside a global media company.
It really is a masterclass in the blurry lines between, personal vendettas and professional creator management.
So let's just go straight to the catalyst. The spark in the powder keg, right? In the early summer of 2026, these whispers start circulating through the creator economy about a phantom documentary. According to the sources, specifically the streams of Adam McIntyre, this production company was actively reaching out to various internet personalities.
Right.
Their goal was to produce a premium, streaming-style documentary chronicling the spectacular downfall of YouTube megastar Colleen Ballinger.
And the pedigree of the production company is, it's the critical context here.
Yeah, who was it?
This wasn't just a fellow YouTuber looking to make a standard video essay. The team reportedly soliciting these interviews was the exact same production group behind the Quiet on Set documentary.
Which was, that was a massive culture-shifting event.
Precisely. Quiet on Set completely reframed how the general public viewed child exploitation in the traditional television industry, specifically at Nickelodeon, right?
Right.
It was prestigious, it was legally rigorous, and it was just widely watched.
Yeah.
So when a production entity with that level of cultural capital pivots their attention to the Colleen Ballinger saga, which is a story fundamentally rooted in the alleged grooming, manipulation, exploitation of young fans, it instantly elevates the stakes. This is institutional media looking to canonize the narrative of what happened. It offers a level of validation that these creators had never had access to before.
And when you're building a documentary of that scale, you need the primary witnesses, right?
Nice.
You need the people who were there. So the producers predictably reached out to two of the most central figures in the entire Colleen Ballinger universe.
Yeah.
First, they contacted Joshua David Evans, who was Colleen's ex-husband. Second, they reached out to Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam was arguably the most prominent and vocal victim in this entire saga. He was a former superfan who was allegedly manipulated and used by Colleen when he was literally just a child.
Yeah.
And the way these two men reacted to this documentary pitch is, well, it's the psychological fault line where everything just begins to fracture.
You have this incredible divergence in motivation here. Let's look at Josh first. Based on his public statements and his subsequent actions and the analysis from the commentary sphere, Josh essentially saw this documentary pitch as the ultimate golden ticket.
Oh, totally.
He was incredibly eager to participate. You have to remember, Josh had spent years trying to navigate his own narrative following his very public, very messy divorce from Colleen.
Right, he was always trying to clear his name.
Exactly. He had done interviews, he had made videos, but this was a chance to be on a massive premium platform.
And Adam actually claimed on his streams that Josh wasn't just looking for closure either.
No.
Adam stated that Josh saw this as a strategic springboard, like a way to potentially secure a lucrative book deal or even use the momentum to launch an entertainment career for his current wife.
Which is, sadly, a very common mechanism in the influencer economy. Trauma and tragedy are frequently commodified. If you can position yourself as the central, sympathetic figure in a premium documentary, the monetization opportunities that follow, like publishing, speaking tours, brand deals, they are immense. Josh clearly viewed this as a career catalyst.
But Adam viewed it as a threat.
Completely.
Adam was a hard, immovable, absolute no. And when you listen to his reasoning, which he detailed in a video titled Rachel Ballinger is Mad at Me, you completely understand why.
Oh, absolutely.
Adam felt he had already paid his dues to the public square. Back in 2023, he sat down for this incredibly grueling, multi-part, exhaustive interview with the investigative YouTuber Swoop.
Yes.
He laid out the timelines, the messages, the psychological toll. Like, he bled for the camera already.
And the psychological concept of re-traumatization is paramount here. For a survivor of manipulation or abuse, repeatedly telling the story to different audiences isn't therapeutic.
No.
It's exhausting. It forces the nervous system to continually relive the most vulnerable moments of their life. Adam had secured his peace. He had told his truth on his own terms to an interviewer he trusted, handing his story over to a corporate production team he didn't know to be packaged for mass entertainment. It offered him absolutely zero psychological benefit.
So you have an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Right.
Josh needs this documentary to happen, and he likely assumes that having Adam, the primary victim on board is crucial for the documentary's credibility. And Adam wants absolutely nothing to do with it. And this is where the conflict jumps from private emails into the public arena. Josh decides that Adam's note simply isn't acceptable.
According to Adam's timeline, Josh basically takes it upon himself to bypass the producers completely and reach out to Adam directly via a private message.
Wow.
And the phrasing of that message is incredibly revealing. Josh essentially tries to coerce Adam by framing it as a team effort. He says something to the effect of, let's do the documentary together, bro.
Which is such a loaded approach.
Yeah.
Because Adam ignores the message. He sets a firm boundary by simply not engaging with the coercion. But the pressure clearly bothers him because he later goes onto his Twitch stream.
Yeah, he's just chatting.
Yeah, he's playing a game, chatting with his audience, and he just starts venting. He talks about how weird and uncomfortable it is that someone is actively pushing him to participate in this trauma documentary when he's clearly stated he's done talking about it. And here's the crucial detail. Adam does not name Josh.
Right.
He keeps it entirely anonymous.
He is criticizing the behavior, not attacking the person. It's a very standard way for creators to process industry frustrations without starting a targeted harassment campaign.
But Josh can't handle the boundary. He sees this stream or clips of it, and he decides to out himself completely.
Which is wild.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Josh marches into the comment section of Adam's subsequent YouTube video and publicly identifies himself as the person pushing the documentary. And he leaves a comment expressing his profound disappointment that Adam would dare to speak publicly about the documentary pitch.
This is a massive shift in the power dynamic. It transforms from a private, pushy request into a public shaming campaign. Josh is using his visibility as a public figure to guilt-trip a victim. He's essentially telling Adam's audience, look at how uncooperative Adam is being. It's a calculated attempt to weaponize audience sentiment against Adam to force his compliance.
I do want to pause here and just challenge the framing for a second, just to view this from every angle.
Okay, sure.
Because if we look at this strictly through the lens of the creator economy, which is, at the end of the day, A business isn't pitching collaborative projects completely standard.
Yeah.
Like if you and I are peers in the same industry and I reach out and say, hey, let's co-author this paper or let's co-host this event, and you say no, I might be disappointed. I might even express that disappointment. Is there a chance Josh is just treating this like a standard business collaboration that fell through and he's just being clumsy about it?
That is a very common defense mechanism used to excuse bad behavior in this industry, but it completely falls apart when you apply it to this specific context. We have to differentiate between a business collaboration and the exploitation of shared trauma.
Okay, so how do you draw that line?
A business collaboration is a brand deal. It's a podcast crossover. It's doing a makeup tutorial together. The foundational material of a business collaboration is content.
Right.
The foundational material of this documentary is Adam's childhood trauma.
Oh, wow.
Adam's connection to Colleen Ballinger isn't a professional rivalry. It is rooted in profound psychological distress that occurred when he was a minor. For Josh to approach that vulnerability as if he's pitching a buddy cop movie or a collaborative vlog, it's fundamentally tone-deaf. It removes the humanity from the situation and reduces Adam's pain to a tradable commodity.
That distinction is so clarifying. It's not asking to share a PowerPoint presentation. It's demanding someone reopen a psychological wound so you can enhance your own professional portfolio.
Exactly. And beyond the sheer audacity of the request, the method of Josh's follow-up is what completely invalidates the clumsy businessman theory.
Right.
When a professional colleague declines a project, you say, understood, best of luck, and you move on. You do not go into their public forum, out yourself, and lightly proclaim your disappointment to their audience. That isn't networking. That is manipulation. It is a structural disregard for the word no.
And unfortunately, the manipulation doesn't stop at a guilt trip. Because after Adam holds his ground, after he tells Josh, essentially, leave me alone, I am not doing this, the situation accelerates from passive-aggressive disappointment to what the internet widely and rightfully perceived as a direct threat.
Yeah, we move from the realm of bad etiquette into the realm of digital intimidation.
Josh leaves another comment on Adam's page. It is incredibly brief. He simply writes, "See you at VidCon. Sunflower emoji, bro." Now, let's look at the anatomy of that sentence. See you at VidCon, followed by a sunflower emoji, followed by bro. If you are a casual observer, someone who just uses emojis to tell their mom they're bringing salad to dinner, a sunflower is just a cheerful yellow graphic. It means summer or nature or happiness.
Right.
But the internet operates on deeply localized dialects. And in this specific corner of the internet, that sunflower is radioactive.
It really is. To understand the weight of that single emoji, we had to dive deep into the archival research compiled by the Colleen Ballinger snark community on Reddit. This is where the history of weaponized fandom becomes essential to the story.
Okay, lay it out.
So during the peak of Colleen Ballinger's popularity, she cultivated a massive, highly dedicated fan base. And within that fan base, she cultivated an even smaller, exclusive inner circle of young fans. This is a group that the commentary community alleges she heavily manipulated and groomed.
So she created a hierarchy.
Exactly. And to manage this hierarchy and to control the broader narrative without getting her own hands dirty, Colleen developed a specific cryptographic language. The Reddit historians laid out the rules of this language very clearly. If Colleen replied to a fan's post with a sunflower emoji next to a heart emoji, it was a public display of affection. It meant you were favored.
But there was a dark inverse to that rule.
Yes. She explicitly communicated to her inner circle that if she used a sunflower emoji without a heart, it was a secret negative signal. It was a marker. It indicated to her most rabid followers that she disliked this specific person.
Wow. It was a target painted on their back. It was essentially giving her attack dogs the green light to go out and mock, harass, bully, and silence that specific user.
Precisely. It is a brilliant, terrifyingly effective way to weaponize an algorithm.
How so?
Because if you type, "I hate this person, go bully them," the platform's safety moderation tools will flag you. Your account gets suspended for targeted harassment. But a platform's moderation bot cannot parse the localized semiotics of a sunflower. The bot sees a flower, the community sees a kill order. It allowed a powerful creator to orchestrate mass harassment while maintaining total plausible deniability.
It's literally the digital equivalent of a mafia boss kissing someone on both cheeks.
Yes.
To the outside world, it looks affectionate. To the people inside the family, you know that person is doomed. It's a symbol that carries a deeply sinister, universally understood meaning within a closed ecosystem. And we have to remember who is deploying the symbol. Joshua David Evans was married to Colleen. He lived inside the nucleus of that ecosystem. He knew the dialect. He knew exactly what that symbol meant.
There is absolutely zero room for the defense of ignorance here.
Oh.
He selected that specific emoji with surgical precision. And this forces us to examine the incredibly disturbing power dynamic and age gap at play. Joshua David Evans, at the time of this incident, is a 42-year-old man. He is a corporate professional. Adam McIntyre is a 23-year-old creator. But the critical context is that Adam's involvement in this entire narrative stems from his time as a minor.
Right. The original trauma occurred when Adam was a child. So you have a middle-aged man deploying mafia-style coded threats against a young man regarding a situation that involves the young man's childhood trauma.
And it highlights a very dark cycle of behavior. The community was quick to point out the horrific irony of Josh's actions. For years leading up to this, Josh had positioned himself publicly as a victim.
Oh, yeah.
In his own interviews, including his sit-down with Swoop, Josh detailed how he was heavily manipulated, gaslit, and emotionally abused by Colleen's tactics. He garnered significant public sympathy for surviving her toxicity.
And then he turns around and uses the exact same playbook.
He unearths the exact weaponized symbol of his abuser and aims it at a younger creator who was also a victim. The internet watched a man who built a brand on being a survivor seamlessly transition into becoming the exact type of digital aggressor he claimed destroyed him. It's a breathtaking lack of self-awareness.
And we cannot stress enough that this was not treated as just a bit of digital shade. The real-world consequences were immediate and tangible. In his subsequent response videos, Adam explicitly states that he processed this as a legitimate physical threat. See you at VidCon.
Right.
VidCon is not an abstract concept. It is a massive physical convention in Anaheim, California. It is a chaotic environment packed with tens of thousands of people where creators are highly accessible.
When someone who has demonstrated a fixation on you, who refuses to accept your boundaries, and who utilizes the coded language of organized harassment tells you they're going to find you at a specific physical location, your threat response is going to activate.
Adam was so unnerved by this that he actually felt compelled to arrange for physical security. He had to hire bodyguards for a work convention because a 42-year-old man was leaving emojis on his YouTube page. It perfectly illustrates how the barrier between the internet and reality has completely dissolved. It is not just online when you are looking over your shoulder in a convention center hallway.
And while all of this is unfolding, while Josh is spiraling, staying up until 3 in the morning, posting cryptic defensive Instagram stories, fighting with teenagers in Reddit comment sections, and leaving threatening messages on YouTube, we arrive at the most vital question of this entire deep dive, a question of professional accountability.
What was Joshua David Evans supposed to be doing?
He was supposed to be at his desk.
Exactly. Josh was not just a freelance YouTuber surviving on ad revenue. He had a salaried corporate day job. He was employed as a talent manager for a massive global digital media network called Studio 71. And this brings us to the collateral damage, because the digital drama we just outlined didn't happen in a vacuum.
No, it didn't.
It had a real-world financial blast radius that impacted people who had absolutely nothing to do with Colleen Ballinger or documentaries.
This is the critical pivot in the narrative. This is where the story elevates from the messy realm of interpersonal influencer beef and enters the heavily regulated realm of corporate fiduciary duty, breach of contract, and professional negligence.
And the human face of that collateral damage is a creator named Gavin. His channel is Gavin Reads It All. Now, if you are not deeply embedded in the YouTube ecosystem, you might not be familiar with the BookTube community. BookTube is a very specific, incredibly lucrative niche on the platform dedicated entirely to literature.
It is an ecosystem that prides itself on being the antithesis of drama.
It is the definition of cozy. Gavin's content is basically him sitting in a comfortable chair, surrounded by overflowing bookshelves, drinking a cup of tea, hanging out with his cats, and reviewing classic novels or popular fantasy series. He has built an audience of over 127,000 subscribers who come to him specifically for peace, quiet, and book recommendations. He is quite literally as far removed from toxic, reality TV-style YouTube drama as a human being can possibly be.
But Gavin, like many mid-tier creators, recognized that to grow his channel and secure better brand deals with publishers, he needed professional representation. So he signed a management contract with Studio 71.
Now let's break down the mechanics of an MCN, a multi-channel network, because it's crucial to understanding the betrayal here. When a creator signs a contract with a network like Studio 71, they are not just getting a mentor, they are entering into a financial partnership.
The standard model requires the creator to surrender a percentage of their gross income. In Gavin's case, he was giving up 10% of his Google AdSense revenue and his brand deal income directly to Studio 71.
Let's use a real-world analogy. It's very similar to how a traditional Hollywood talent agency operates. The agency holds your money in a sort of escrow. They take their 10% cut off the top, and then they pay you the remainder. In exchange for that 10%, the network is legally obligated to provide services. They're supposed to negotiate higher-paying sponsorships, provide channel optimization strategies, protect you from copyright strikes, and, most importantly, provide a dedicated manager to guide your career.
And Gavin didn't just sign a blind contract with a faceless corporation. He explicitly stated in his videos that he agreed to the Studio 71 deal for one specific reason. Joshua David Evans pitched himself as Gavin's personal manager.
Wow.
Gavin trusted Josh. He felt a rapport with him. He believed Josh understood his cozy, literature-focused brand.
That trust was the foundation of the business relationship. And that trust was egregiously, systematically dismantled. The timeline of this betrayal was laid out by Gavin in a deeply emotional, incredibly hard-to-watch video. Gavin had scheduled a critical meeting with Josh for a Friday afternoon. This wasn't a casual catch-up. Gavin desperately needed to discuss the financial direction of his channel and an alarming issue regarding his payouts.
But that meeting never happened. At the last minute, Josh canceled on Gavin. His excuse, according to Gavin, was that a mandatory company-wide meeting had been called at Studio 71 that he simply could not miss.
Now, in the corporate world, last-minute meetings happen, emergencies arise. If that was the end of the story, it would just be bad luck. But the internet is an incredibly porous place, and secrets rarely stay buried. The commentary community and internet sleuths got to work, and they absolutely tore the roof off of Josh's alibi.
The timeline overlapping is what elevates this from poor time management to active deceit.
Leaked emails and communications surfaced regarding the Colleen Ballinger documentary we talked about earlier, and those leaks revealed that at the exact same time Josh was emailing Gavin, his paying client, telling him he was locked in a mandatory corporate meeting, Josh was simultaneously emailing the documentary producers.
Incredible.
He was telling the Quiet On-Set team that his Friday was completely open and he was completely free to talk anytime that afternoon.
It is a textbook, undeniable breach of professional duty. He actively lied to his client. He fabricated a corporate emergency to get out of doing the job he was being paid to do. And he did it specifically to prioritize securing his own personal reality TV moment. He placed his ego, his desire for public vindication, and his thirst for the spotlight above the livelihood of the creator he was legally hired to protect and manage.
And the impact of that lie on Gavin was devastating. We watched Gavin's video. It's not an angry rant. It is a genuine breakdown. Gavin is sobbing on camera. He is desperate. Because it wasn't just a missed Friday Zoom call. The stakes were financial survival. Gavin revealed that Studio 71 was actively withholding his YouTube earnings. They had not paid him for the entirety of May and June.
Which is the primary failure of the MCN model. When a network takes control of your AdSense, you are entirely reliant on their accounting department to pay your rent. If the network stalls, you have zero recourse. You cannot go to Google and ask for the money directly because Google has already paid the network.
So Gavin is missing 2 months of his salary. On top of that, he is seeking advice to grow his channel, and the guidance he is receiving from Josh and the network is completely unhinged. Gavin's community strongly suspected that the advice was quite literally being generated by artificial intelligence.
The examples Gavin provided were baffling. He was being told to utilize aggressive clickbait-style thumbnails and high-energy, sensationalized titles.
For a channel where a guy reads Charles Dickens with a cat on his lap.
Exactly. It showed a foundational lack of understanding of the client's core demographic.
Yeah.
A talent manager's primary skill must be audience comprehension. If you tell a cozy booktuber to start using Mr. Beast-style thumbnails, you are actively trying to destroy the authenticity that makes the channel profitable in the first place.
So let's look at Gavin's reality. He is losing his income. He is receiving algorithmic garbage for career advice. His manager is lying to him to go pitch documentaries and then spending his nights leaving mafia emojis on a 23-year-old's YouTube page. I have to ask a structural question here. Let's look at the mechanics of this company. Studio 71 is not a mom-and-pop talent agency operating out of a garage. It is a massive multinational media company. Why couldn't Gavin just pick up his phone, bypass Josh, and call human resources? Why couldn't he just email an account director and say, "My manager is MIA and I need my money"?
That is the million-dollar question that commentary creators like Vangelina Scoff zeroed in on. Vangelina's analysis highlighted the profound structural failure of Studio 71 as an organization. A reputable functional management company is built on redundancies.
Like safety nets.
Exactly. If an agent at CAA or WME is out sick or on vacation or hypothetically having a very public digital meltdown, the client doesn't just cease to exist.
Right.
There's a team, there's a junior agent, an account coordinator, an entire accounting department, and a robust HR infrastructure that the client can access immediately.
The terrifying revelation of Gavin's video was that Joshua David Evans was operating as the absolute singular gatekeeper for Gavin's career. Gavin literally could not reach a single other human being inside this massive corporate structure to access his own trapped funds.
Which reveals an organizational red flag of massive proportions. Studio 71 had built a system with zero internal oversight, zero emergency protocols for clients, and zero auditing of their mid-level managers. They created an environment where a single rogue employee could hold a creator's finances and mental health hostage without triggering a single internal alarm.
And that level of systemic failure forces us to zoom out, because a company doesn't just accidentally forget how to run an HR department. Things like this usually happen when the foundation of the company is shaking. We dug into the business reporting, specifically looking at a piece from agencies.co to figure out what was happening behind the closed doors of Studio 71.
The macro context explains the micro failure.
Exactly. We found out that in April 2026, just weeks before Josh started spiraling and Gavin's money got trapped, Studio 71 US underwent a massive corporate transition. The company was officially acquired by a conglomerate called Fixated LLC. They bought Studio 71 from its previous parent company, ProSiebensat1 Media SE. This wasn't a small trade. This was a massive mergers and acquisitions deal that instantly transferred the contracts of over 1,000 digital creators into Fixated's portfolio overnight.
If you study the mechanics of corporate M&A, this acquisition is the Rosetta Stone for understanding why Josh was able to operate with such profound, unchecked negligence.
I've never been through a corporate buyout, but I imagine it's messy.
It is institutional chaos. When Company A buys Company B, the ink drying on the contract is just the beginning. What follows is a grueling months-long period called post-merger integration. During this time, every system is in flux. IT departments are trying to merge servers. Payroll systems are being audited and transitioned. Middle management is terrified of layoffs, so people are either overly defensive or completely disengaged. Reporting structures are rewritten weekly.
It's like buying a massive 1,000-unit apartment building. The new landlord is so busy in the basement, checking the foundation, inspecting the boiler, and figuring out if the plumbing is up to code, that they are completely blind to what's happening on the fourth floor.
That's a great way to put it.
They have no idea that the superintendent in apartment 4B is literally locking the tenants out of their own rooms and hoarding their rent money.
That is the perfect analogy. An M&A transition period creates a massive liability blind spot. Institutional oversight drops to near zero because the new parent company, Fixated, is overwhelmed, simply trying to categorize what they just purchased. They're looking at massive spreadsheets evaluating the aggregate revenue of 1,000 creators. They are absolutely not monitoring the daily sent folder of every mid-level manager they just inherited.
But the beautiful, terrifying thing about the creator economy is that the tenants don't have to wait for the new landlord to finish inspecting the boiler. When a creator gets locked out, they don't submit a paper grievance form. They grab a megaphone and broadcast it to the world.
And Gavin's tearful, desperate video was a megaphone equipped with stadium-level amplification.
When Gavin posted that video detailing the withheld money, the fake meetings, and Josh's abandonment, the internet did what the internet does best. It mobilized. The commentary channels amplified the story instantly. The Reddit snark communities mobilized to comb through timelines. Viewers started bombarding Studio 71 and Fixated LLC on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. The pressure didn't just mount, it exploded exponentially.
And the corporate response to that pressure is incredibly telling regarding the balance of power in modern media.
Exactly 2 hours. That is all it took. Exactly 2 hours after Gavin's video went live on YouTube, he received an official email from Studio 71. They immediately and unconditionally released him from his management contract, and shortly after, they wired him all of his withheld earnings.
The sheer speed of that capitulation is staggering. In a traditional corporate dispute over a contract, it takes weeks just for legal to draft a response.
Yeah.
To dissolve a contract in 120 minutes is unprecedented.
It's a corporate fire drill. Imagine being an executive at Fixated LLC. You just spent tens of millions of dollars acquiring the shiny new creator network. You wake up on a Tuesday, check your phone, and see a Category 5 PR hurricane forming over your brand new asset. You have massive commentary channels exposing your company for financially starving a wholesome, beloved booktuber. Worse, the manager responsible for this is currently going viral for leaving coded mafia threats on the page of a childhood trauma survivor.
It is the ultimate toxic asset.
They didn't pause to investigate. They didn't try to negotiate a settlement or offer Gavin a different manager. They looked at the liability, pulled the emergency cord, and deployed the parachute. They amputated the limb to save the body. Because Fixated understands the fundamental rule of the creator economy. Your entire business model relies on your reputation. Your ability to sign new talent dictates your revenue. If the broader creator community believes your network steals money and employs abusive managers, your multi-million-dollar acquisition is dead on arrival.
It was a brutal, swift, and entirely necessary act of corporate self-preservation. And that rapid amputation inevitably leads us to the final, fatal chapter of Joshua David Evans's online career, the absolute crash out.
After Gavin's video drops, the tides turn completely. The internet, which had previously held a somewhat mixed or indifferent view of Josh, universally turns against him. The evidence of professional betrayal combined with the sinister digital threats is too much. Josh realizes he has lost the narrative completely, so he attempts a final play. He posts a video to his 1.1 million subscribers titled, "This is Goodbye." In it, he dramatically announces he is stepping away from the internet forever.
But if we critically analyze the anatomy of this goodbye video, it serves as a masterclass in how not to take accountability. The overwhelming consensus from the community feedback, both on Reddit and across the commentary sphere, was that the video is deeply frustrating and emotionally manipulative.
It was incredibly tough to watch. He does technically offer an apology to Gavin, though.
He does, but the apology is completely hollowed out because it is heavily couched in profound victimhood. He spends the majority of the runtime building a defense for himself. The specific quote that generated the most visceral, angry reaction from the audience was when he looked at the camera and said, "At the end of the day, I was just a kid who loved making videos."
Just a kid. I literally yelled at my screen when I heard that.
It is a textbook psychological tactic known as regression or infantilization. When a person is backed into a corner and forced to confront the adult consequences of their harmful actions, they will often attempt to shrink themselves into a state of childlike innocence.
Right.
By claiming he was just a kid, Josh is attempting to strip himself of adult agency, thereby absolving himself of adult accountability. The problem, of course, is empirical reality. Joshua David Evans was a grown man in his 20s and 30s during his entire YouTube career, and a 42-year-old corporate employee when he threatened Adam and abandoned Gavin.
It's an insult to the audience's intelligence, but the video actually gets darker. In the exact same breath where he is infantilizing himself to play the victim, he pivots and aggressively victim blames Adam McIntyre.
Unbelievable.
He explicitly blames Adam for his downfall, accusing Adam of leading an army of bullies against him in the past.
This requires a breathtaking level of cognitive dissonance. Let's map out the logic he is presenting to his audience. He, the 42-year-old man, is a helpless, innocent child who made some mistakes.
Yeah.
But Adam, who was a literal 12-year-old boy when the initial abuse from Colleen occurred, is somehow a mastermind general commanding a militant army to destroy him.
He has to completely rewrite historical reality to maintain his status as the primary victim.
Exactly. He cannot integrate the reality that his own actions, sending the emoji, lying to Gavin, prioritizing the documentary, caused his current crisis. The ego protection is too strong.
And if you thought the goodbye video was messy, the aftermath is where the situation devolves into pure farce. Days after posting this tearful, dramatic farewell, where he supposedly finds inner peace and logs off to heal, he logs right back on.
The retraction.
Yes, he can't stay away. The goodbye video didn't get the sympathetic response he was craving, so he gets angry. He posts a massive rambling manifesto on his YouTube community tab. And in this text post, he essentially walks back every single tearful apology he just made in the video. He doubles down on his seething anger toward Adam, and incredibly, he throws Gavin right back under the bus.
It's just wild.
He complains bitterly about the intense backlash he's receiving from the internet, completely ignoring the fact that the backlash is the direct mathematical result of his own negligence toward Gavin.
He attempts to co-opt Gavin's trauma. He tries to recenter himself as the ultimate victim of the situation he created.
And the internet's response to this manifesto was absolute brutal rejection. The post was instantly and universally ratioed.
For you listening who might be unfamiliar with the specific mechanics of platform engagement, being ratioed is a digital death knell. It means that the number of replies and, quote, reposts, which are almost always negative arguments or mockery, massively outnumber the amount of likes the post receives.
Right, it's a visual indicator.
It is the clearest visual metric of universal public disagreement. When you are ratioed, the crowd has unanimously voted against you.
The audience essentially held up a massive, high-definition mirror to his behavior, and the reflection was undeniable. It showed an unprofessional, vindictive employee who harmed his clients and threatened trauma survivors. And when Josh saw that reflection and realized that no amount of manifestos or tearful videos could blur the image, he took the final step.
He smashed the mirror.
Completely. He didn't just log off, he scorched the earth. He permanently deleted his YouTube channel, erasing over a decade of content and 1.1 million subscribers. He deleted his Instagram, he wiped his entire digital footprint from existence. And in the process, the commentary community confirmed through sources that his departure from Studio 71 was permanent. He lost the corporate job, he lost the channel, he lost the platform.
The psychology of this specific type of digital crash out is fascinating. It perfectly mirrors the behavior of a child who is losing a board game, so they flip the board, take their pieces, and go home so no one else can play. He lacked the emotional tools to face the mirror, do the grueling work of authentic accountability, and demonstrate changed behavior over time. Running away and erasing the evidence was the only coping mechanism left available to him.
I'm not fired, I quit, and I'm burning the building down on my way out energy. But executed on a massive, highly visible digital scale. Which brings us to the most vital part of this deep dive, the meta-commentary. Because the way the internet processed, analyzed, and ultimately judged this saga is incredibly revealing about where we are as a digital culture.
The commentary sphere, creators like Peter Mon, Thad Sajak, and the Do We Know Them podcast, they really function as the immune system of the platform here. They synthesize the chaotic timeline into clear cultural lessons.
Peter Mon's analysis was particularly razor-sharp. He cut right through the noise of the documentary drama. Peter pointed out a fundamental, undeniable logic flaw in Josh's defense. Josh kept claiming that he needed this documentary because he had been silenced and he desperately needed the world to hear his truth.
Right.
But Peter pointed out that Josh literally possessed the keys to his own broadcasting network. He had a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers. If he genuinely just wanted to tell his story, the barrier to entry was zero.
Exactly. We are not living in 1995 where you need a television network to give you a camera and a satellite uplink. In 2026, if you want to publish your truth, you press a button on your phone. He could have made a multi-part series on his own channel. He could have written a memoir and self-published it on Amazon. He could have started a podcast.
But he didn't do any of that. Instead of utilizing the massive platform he already owned, he chose to try and coerce a traumatized 23-year-old into participating in a high-pressure Netflix-style production. And when the kid said no, he deployed weaponized emojis to threaten him. Peter Mon laid the truth out perfectly. Josh's motivation wasn't about the noble pursuit of telling the truth. It was about the vanity and prestige of being the star of a premium documentary. And it was about the desire to control a narrative that involved other people's trauma.
And that profound lack of accountability leads directly to the other major theme that the commentary channels and the Reddit communities synthesize brilliantly, the weaponization of mental health.
Oh man, this was a massive talking point across all the sources.
Throughout this entire ordeal, from the initial Instagram stories to the final manifesto, the community heavily criticized Josh for wielding his mental health struggles as what they termed an accountability shield.
Explain the mechanics of an accountability shield for us.
Over the last few years, the internet has become highly fluent in therapeutic language. Therapy speak is everywhere. We talk openly about trauma, boundaries, triggers, and mental health crises, which is generally a very positive evolution.
Yeah.
However, manipulative individuals have learned to weaponize this language. Viewers astutely noted that Josh was actively blaming Adam's refusal to participate in the documentary for his own emotional downward spiral.
Wow.
He was essentially telling Adam and the audience, because you will not do this movie with me, my mental health is failing. Therefore, my bad behavior is actually your fault.
He turned his mental health into a hostage situation. Give me what I want, or I'm going to spiral and the blood will be on your hands. I do want to interject here just to make sure we are looking at this fairly.
Okay.
Mental health crises are terrifying and real. Is there a scenario here where Josh wasn't being calculating or manipulative, but was genuinely just suffering a severe psychological breakdown, a state where he literally lacked the impulse control to stop himself from leaving threats or blowing off work?
It is entirely possible and frankly highly probable that he was experiencing a genuine, terrifying mental health crisis. We are not psychologists and we cannot diagnose his internal state. But the brilliance of the internet's reaction to this saga is the mature synthesis they arrived at. Having a mental health crisis might perfectly explain your behavior, but it does absolutely nothing to excuse it.
Explain, don't excuse. That is a crucial distinction.
It's the cornerstone of modern accountability. A crisis might explain why your judgment is impaired, why you are lashing out, or why you are acting unprofessionally. But being in a dark place does not grant you a moral or legal free pass to cause direct, tangible harm to innocent people.
Right.
It does not excuse causing financial ruin for a client like Gavin who relied on your competence to pay his rent. It certainly does not excuse deploying coded physical threats to a trauma survivor like Adam.
The internet held a firm line. They said, "We see your pain, we acknowledge you are struggling, and we hope you find the help you need offline. But you still have to give Gavin his money, and you still have to leave Adam alone."
It represents a massive maturation of digital literacy. 10 years ago, a creator crying on camera about their mental health was the ultimate trump card. It would instantly shut down any criticism. The audience would completely fold. Today, the audience is able to hold two competing truths simultaneously. You can be a person in profound psychological pain, and you can also be the perpetrator of abuse and negligence. Your pain does not negate your liability.
Which perfectly brings us to the macro implications of this entire story, the big picture takeaway. Because this isn't just a story about three guys arguing on YouTube. This is a story about the structural integrity of the modern digital economy.
As the creator economy continues to mature from the Wild West into a heavily institutionalized industry, we are looking at a landscape where billions of dollars are changing hands. The massive acquisitions we discussed, conglomerates like Fixated LLC buying networks like Studio 71, are not anomalies. They are the blueprint for the future. The mom-and-pop era of YouTube is over. It is now Wall Street.
But the infrastructure hasn't caught up to the money.
Exactly. As these massive multinational corporate structures are built directly on top of unpredictable digital creators, the lines between what we used to casually dismiss as influencer drama and what is legally defined as workplace harassment are completely disappearing.
It's no longer just spilling the tea, it's an HR violation.
Precisely. When a YouTube talent manager, a salaried corporate employee who represents the financial interests of a massive network, uses a public forum to threaten another creator with a weaponized emoji, that is no longer just petty internet beef. It is a massive corporate liability. It is a hostile work environment playing out in high definition in front of millions of consumers.
And it leaves us staring down an incredibly provocative, vital question for the future of this industry. How on earth will these massive, multi-million-dollar networks vet the stability, the professionalism, and the mental health of the people they hire to manage their assets? When you are a company like Fixated and you are hiring managers to guide the careers of young, vulnerable creators whose entire financial survival is tied to their digital output, how do you build a safety net to ensure that manager isn't going to weaponize the community against the client?
The current corporate vetting process is clearly insufficient. The safety protocols for the digital workplace simply do not exist yet. And the story of Joshua David Evans, Studio 71, and Gavin Reed's et al. Is the definitive proof that the system is broken.
From a pitch for a documentary to a weaponized sunflower emoji to a massive corporate buyout to a deleted legacy, it forces you to realize that the screen you are staring at right now isn't just a television. It's an unregulated workplace, and the warning labels are currently being written in real time, in blood and lost AdSense revenue.
It's a lot to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which brings us to you, our listener. We have untangled the threads, but the debate is far from over. We want to hear your perspective on the catalyst of all this chaos. Head down to the comments section right now and tell us, do you think documentary filmmakers bear an ethical or professional responsibility for the real-world drama they trigger simply by pitching a project?
That's a great question.
Does knocking on the door of trauma make the producers liable for the explosion that follows? Let us know exactly what you think.
We really do want to hear your thoughts on this.
And if you enjoyed diving deep into the corporate mechanics and the psychological crossfire of the creator economy with us today, we strongly encourage you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Engaging with the video tells the YouTube algorithm that people crave this kind of nuanced, deeply researched content, and it pushes the deep dive out to thousands of other curious minds who love getting to the bottom of the story just as much as you do. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.